Welcome, everybody, and thanks to all of you for attending this event, which is part of the ClearPeaks CoolTalks series. ClearPeaks CoolTalks are webinars, blog articles, and events aimed at whomever works and manages data in all its aspects. If interested, we recommend you to check the calendar schedule available on our website at clearpeaks.com. This event has been organized jointly with KNIME, our data science technology partner. My name is Gianluca Nacci, and I am the General Manager of the Middle Eastern branch of ClearPeaks. I will spend the next 5 minutes introducing the webinar agenda, our company and capabilities, to then leave the floor to Sudhir Kopparapu, Senior Data Scientist and KNIME Technical Lead. The Q&A panel towards the end of the session, which I will mention shortly, will also be attended by Diman Day, Head of the ClearPeaks Advanced Analytics, Machine Learning and Artificial Intelligence team. A few words before starting. Because of the broad audience to the webinar, we have disabled speech on attendees. So we recommend you to ask your question using the Q&A function that you see in the Zoom control panel. We will be reserving a bit of time for answering your question towards the end of the webinar, and stay assured that whatever unanswered question remains, it will be dealt with after the webinar via mail. And please, if you find these CoolTalks interesting, kindly broadcast it to your network. The purpose of this webinar is to illustrate the new features and capabilities available with the latest release of KNIME Analytics Platform 4.3 and KNIME Server 4.12, and the major differences and improvements to previous versions. So as you can see in the agenda here, during this webinar, we will briefly introduce our company and services, and then go straight into the new features that Analytics Platform and KNIME Server provide, with explanations and demo wherever applicable, then have a wrap up and provide key takeaways, and then open the Q&A panel. Next. For those of you who did not attend our previous CoolTalk sessions, ClearPeaks is an end-to-end business analytics consultancy firm operating worldwide for the last 20 years, and with a broad customer and project portfolio and success stories across more than 20 industries. Our headquarters is in Barcelona, in Spain, and we have offices in Abu Dhabi and Dubai, and soon in Boston, US. Our services span from business intelligence to big data and advanced analytics, complemented by web and mobile capabilities for tailored solutions. We invest in the leading and most state-of-the-art technologies and methodologies to help the customers make the most of their data, wherever it is and wherever it is. Next. To help our customers achieving their business goals, we provide a full end-to-end portfolio of services, from the inception of the data journey by estimating company readiness and helping our customer formulate a strategy, to determining program success factors, then business requirements, to then implementing and supporting the BI, big data, and machine learning artificial intelligence project, under a solid wrapper of data governance and management layer. The outcome of our work, as you can see at the center of this bullseye, spans from executive and management-oriented analytics to real-time operational and tactical data discovery reporting and enablement, to web and mobile applications tailored and made just for our customer. For this webinar, however, we will concentrate on our advanced analytics capabilities, combined with the power of KNIME as an all-in-one comprehensive data science and management tool. Next. The ClearPeaks Advanced Analytics team comprises all the key skills and profiles that are necessary in the artificial intelligence world. We boast 16 KNIME certifications and counting, and with functional knowledge in more than 20 industries, which honestly we consider a key differentiator. We also have end-to-end project experience, from use cases definition to data exploration and discovery, to ingestion pipeline creation, to modeling and then reporting. Next. Our consultants are able to hold your hand throughout your whole machine learning and advanced analytics journey. that goes from advising and planning to implementing and supporting your use cases on the KNIME platform. We also have a PEAL program, which is a quick start for companies about to embark in their first advanced analytics program or are looking for fast and high value delivery. We currently cover more than 15 use cases across industries. Again, if more interested, please drop us an email or go to our website, clearpeaks.com. We also offer services for business process integrated artificial intelligence projects, which are becoming more and more relevant in business data landscapes across organizations nowadays. Next. So after this brief excursus of our company and services, I will now pass the baton to my colleague Sudhir Kopparapu, which will take you through the new exciting features introduced in the latest versions of KNIME Analytics Platform and Server. Sudhir, over to you. Unmute yourself, and then the floor is yours.
Thank you, Gianluca, and I welcome everyone and hello. So before we jump into the core content of this webinar, I would like to give you a brief introduction about KNIME Analytics Platform and KNIME Server for the people who are not aware of KNIME before. So the KNIME Analytics Platform is an open source data science platform for you to create machine learning and data science projects. Whereas KNIME Server is a collaborative server-side product that integrates your team. You can deploy workflows for the production scenarios, you can create schedules, etc. So the KNIME Analytics Platform is open source and the KNIME Servers is a licensed product for the collaboration. So let's get started with the KNIME Analytics Platform new features. So the first feature that I would be talking is the file handling framework. So what does this mean by file handling framework? So in KNIME, everybody uses some kind of data reading nodes like CSV reader, Excel reader, Parquet reader. Every reading node that comes as a first step to read your data is now completely revamped with more performance-oriented features and also the ease of operation. So how it works is in the new release, the entire backend of the data processing or the data reading framework is changed. So now you have faster reading times in all the reader nodes. In addition to that, you also get to integrate with more and more file systems like Google Cloud, Azure Storage, or your local on-premise file system or a SharePoint, whatever it is. So it's all easy to connect to different file systems out there, and it is also easy to shift from one platform to other platform, which I would be demoing in the upcoming slides. So in this slide, we wanted to demonstrate how the older generation Excel reader and the newer generation Excel reader compares in terms of the file reading of the same file. So as you see, the new generation reader is already improved, already finished reading the same file that has been given to both the nodes. So this way, KNIME is continuously improving in its performance aspects. So the next feature that I'm going to talk about is the full flexibility. So in this case, we have used a transfer files node where you can transfer the data from one cloud/on-premise environment to another cloud/on-premise environment. So the example on my screen demonstrates how you connect to a SharePoint authentication, how you connect to a Google authentication and copy the file from Google Drive or a Google authentication connector to the Microsoft ecosystem. At the same time, you could also push the same file to an on-premise KNIME server or an Azure hosted KNIME server using this transfer files. So it is seamlessly easy. And in this case, in the example being shown on my screen, a file is copied from Google Drive to KNIME Server as a destination, one destination, and also to the Microsoft ecosystem as a second destination. So this means the nodes are fully capable of working across cloud environments. And the next one is the dynamic port that is being available in all the reader nodes. So in this case, the CSV reader, the Excel reader, they all come with an ellipsis button for you to click and create this dynamic file connection port, which is blue in color. So in this case, if you can compare the older and the newer CSV reader, the older one doesn't have the ellipsis for you to create a dynamic connection, But in the newer case, you would just get that port whenever you require then and there. So this eliminates the redundancy of having two nodes, one which can connect to file system or one which does not connect to the file system. So it's all one node, and you will get it whenever you need it. The next feature in the file handling framework is all the nodes are now file system agnostic. So you can entirely build a workflow using one specific file system, and later, if you want to migrate it to your production, which is based on a different cloud system, it is seamlessly easy now. Let's say in a practical example, a data scientist would be creating a workflow by reading his or her local machine's file by using a CSV reader, which is hosted completely locally. Then while being pushed to production, the data scientist can just embed these necessary cloud system or a different KNIME server hosted system file connection related nodes, and just include that connection to the reading node, and then it seamlessly works. So the file system node is aware of the file connection that it is coming from, and it also stores the structure of the file that is being read. So you can plug and play wherever you require, and you can build your workflow either locally, push it to production with seamless integration. And on the right-hand side of my screen, you see all the file systems that KNIME is currently capable of supporting, and even more. So as an example, let's say in this case, I have created a CSV reader node by using Microsoft authentication, and then I immediately switched it to Google Drive, and still it seamlessly works without even opening the CSV reader and going for any change in the structure of the file. The next feature that I'm going to talk about is the revamped interface in the file paths. So here, earlier we used to give the file syntax as KNIME://KNIME.workflow/ which is a kind of a relative path of the workflow, or a mount point rated workflow. The use of that is especially when we carry forward the workflows across environments. You can have the file hosted exactly at the same location. If the file is not available, your workflow would fail. KNIME has improved in this front by having a drop-down icon, and the pre-generated and the syntax is generated ready-made for you. So in this case, KNIME has come up with 4 different options for a variety of scenarios, like local file system, mount point, relative to, and custom KNIME URL. Each of this functionality is explained in the right-hand side, where in the local file system, you will have an absolute path of the file. And in the mount point, it is where you want to connect. So every server comes with a mount point identifier, and you can give the exact location of the file while keeping the mount point as a reference. And in the third one, which is the option of relative to, this is the most widely used in the workflow builds. Now you have 3 ready-made functionalities, which is current mount point, current workflow, and current workflow data area. So usually we use the current workflow and current workflow data area to store any temporary or any kind of metadata related files. So once the moment you select that, the syntax is pre-generated for you without even remembering. And you can actually browse the file, and with the help of few clicks, you can give the path of the file. And the last one is the custom KNIME URL, here you can have a custom URL, and in the sense that you can download a file from the web, you can give that URL, everything is given here. So I will try to explain this relative to functionality with an example now. So how this works is you can click on the drop down to choose relative to option. Once that is selected, you can switch again 3 options like current workflow, mount point, and data area. In this case, I have chosen current workflow. And you click on the browse, everything through GUI, you can select the desired file, and upon choosing the file, the syntax is pre-generated for you, like you see in the file placeholder // datasets. So it's all there. You don't need to remember everything. Everything is done through GUI now. And the next interesting features that we're going to talk about, and these are quite handy features that are consistent and user experience features. So the first thing that we're going to talk about on this aspect is the transformation tab, which is new in this release. So on the left-hand side of my screen, you see the older generation CSV reader node, where it comes with a kind of basic settings. You can choose your input file, what is the delimiter and other stuff. But on the right-hand side, you have more and more features now. When you go to the transformation tab, which is highlighted on the right-hand side of my screen, you get all the columns listed one by one. So there are a couple of interesting operations that you could do here without having additional nodes added after the CSV reader. So the different kinds of operations that you could do in this screen right after reading the file is you could sort the order of the columns by using the move up and down buttons. You could rename after reading the file. You could have a new name for each of the columns, and you could do a basic data type mapping. If you have a column with a date field, but it is read as a string, which is the case with the CSV readers, you could you could change the data type to a zone data time or zone data time with timestamp. You could also pick and choose the columns that you would be requiring for the next steps in the workflow. So a kind of 4 different operations are done right in the reading step itself, and eliminating at least 4 or 5 different nodes that you would have to probably use to get the same functionality. So the functionality that I was talking in the previous slide is the transformation tab. The same functionality is brought out of that reading nodes, and you could use the same functionality by using a different node called table manipulator. They both are essentially same in nature, where in the table manipulator tab, you can also have additional features like you could combine 2 or more data sets and choose a union or intersection of the data sets. So the thing that we are trying to present here is on the top, you have a different set of nodes like 6 in number to achieve an operation. So all these kind of operations are now delivered in one single node, thus cutting off your time for the development, time in execution, and also the memory IO. Jumping on to components, we all know that components are aimed at wrapping the functionality or a piece of code inside some containers. So how this works is earlier we have 2 different set of extensions. Like one is you have configuration nodes, and the other is widget nodes. Widget nodes are basically used for building an application that is supported in web portal, whereas configuration nodes are you can use configuration nodes are aimed for the users who use the KNIME Analytics platform. So when you click a component, you can have the runtime parameters set up there, but you cannot change the sequence of the parameters in the older releases. But now that has also been customized. So let's say you for a specific functionality, you have to choose a file path, you have to choose different kinds of files. You could change the sequence. So let me present you with an example. So in this, when I click a component, I have 3 different parameters like file input, status, and average quantity rename. So, but I cannot change the sequence of the parameters. And inside the component, we have 3 different configuration nodes. So if I want to change the sequence of it, I go to the configuration dialog layout, and I can reorder the configuration node so that it is easy for the end users to first pick a file, then rename the column, and then put a filter on top of that. So it's all easy and understandable and fully configurable now. So the next feature is on the Python enhancement side. So KNIME is constantly improving its integration with Python, which is very helpful for all the data scientists out there. So in this release, KNIME has clubbed all the different kinds of nodes like Python script, 1 input, 1 output, 1 input, 2 outputs, all such nodes into one single node. Again, the feature of dynamic port handling comes in here. Whenever you want more ports, you could just you could add right away there, thus eliminating the redundancy to have more and more nodes listed on your nodes pane. So again, what is important here is we should be aware of the new dynamic port configuration that is available in this Python script node. This is the interesting and important feature in this release, which is the Conda environment propagation node. So often we build something in our local instance and we forget to create such packages in a production instance, thus creating deployment time issues. So how this node works is when you could drag and drop this node onto your workspace, onto your design area, then choose a Python Anaconda backend, Anaconda environment, and then pick and choose the packages that you require for the successful workflow execution. So the advantage of this is when you tell the workflow that these are the required packages for successful executions, during the workflow deployment time, the KNIME server ensures that all such packages are there in the target instance as well. So thus, you manually, you need not install any packages, or even if you miss out on installing a specific package that is required for your new workflow, it is taken care of. So let me tell you how this works. So I have double clicked on the Conda environment propagation. So it gives me a couple of options to choose a Conda environment. And upon choosing a Conda environment, I see the list of packages that I have pre-installed in my Conda environment and which is a local installation. So in this case, the functionality that is required for this workflow needs a certain X and Y number of packages, which are selected by the checkbox there. And in the bottom, you also have three options: check name only, check name and packages, and always overwrite existing environment. So all these three have different meanings. So check name only indicates that only the environment to environment match is validated. In case of the other options, it can also install the packages. So in this case, upon creating the required setup for this Conda environment propagation, we pass that data as a variable input to all the downstream Python script nodes. So in this case, the variable created is conda.environment. So it has been given as a variable input to this Python script node, which by inherently picks up the conda environment for this Python 2 command and Python 3 command. So after this, there is no significant change. You can continue to build your workflow like how you usually do. But just after, if everything is successful and you want to deploy this to a different instance, you just reset the workflow and deploy it in the target instance. Once it is deployed to the target instance, during the execution, this Conda environment propagation checks for the required packages that is required for this workflow, and it installs the packages if there is anything missing. And another interesting feature integrating into the Jupyter Notebook. So all the data scientists are aware of the Jupyter Notebook. So in case you want to build a completely custom code outside of the KNIME environment and you still want to leverage the KNIME workflows that are built previously, this is a very good handy package. So you can import the KNIME custom library, and using that library, you can call a remote workflow that is hosted on a KNIME server through a couple of authentication parameters and get the output retrieved back into your Jupyter notebook. So this is a quite handy feature if you are too used with the if you are a data scientist that is having comfortable experience with Jupyter, but you still want to leverage the workflows that your other data scientists have built and kept it ready for you. This is the library that you should be using. Talking about the extensions and integrations and their continuous development inside KNIME. So you get more and more functionalities through these extensions and integrations. So in this release, KNIME has brought in more integrations like Salesforce related nodes and Tableau related nodes, and also the H2O integration nodes. So there's a full, for the full list, you can visit the KNIME website as well. We have captured some of the important nodes here. And on the deep learning space, KNIME has introduced Keras integration nodes and TensorFlow integration nodes as well. You could completely build your workflow pipeline using the Keras nodes. And later, when you want to switch to TensorFlow backend, you could easily convert your workflow. You could easily convert your code to TensorFlow code by using the Keras to TensorFlow network converter node. So it is very, very helpful in case you want to switch from Keras to TensorFlow backend. Then on the partner extensions, KNIME has built-in support with partners like H2O and Redfield, the couple of extensions in this release, which are H2O driverless AI related nodes and also the BED model related nodes. One of the coolest feature and which I personally like in this release is the KNIME Hub integration. So as a data scientist, whenever we want to start something, we don't need to invent the wheel from beginning. We can just give some keywords into the KNIME Hub, and there are a lot of pre-built nodes or the workflows or the components from the KNIME community users. You can just drag and drop onto your workspace and start playing with them. There are a lot of useful uses with this KNIME Hub integration. Earlier, we had to switch back and forth between the browser and the KNIME platform to drag and drop the nodes. But now the KNIME Hub has been integrated into your KNIME Analytics platform workspace, so I don't need to switch back and forth. There are a lot of interesting stuff. There's a lot of interesting stuff in the KNIME Hub platform, pre-built codes for most of the use cases which you could explore and get started with your data science journey. Another important aspect in this release is the columnar table backend for fast tables. So this is aimed at improving the performance again. As I said, KNIME is constantly on the job of improving and giving the best to the customers. So in this case, this is currently in the KNIME Labs, which is a kind of testing phase. It is not recommended for production use yet. But what it does is you have to install a extension to leverage this feature, which is a KNIME columnar table backend. So once you install this extension, you could configure it by using a couple of parameters on the right-hand side. Based on the number of cores you have for your machine, you could tweak this and set your maximum limits for the in-memory execution. So once the setup part is done, if you want to use this for any workflow, you could right-click on the workflow and click on configure. Then select the table backend. Instead of default, you could pick and choose the columnar storage labs. So this gives some kind of performance improvement when compared to the previous execution. But you could try it on your own and see and decide whether to use it or not, because it's currently in lab stage. It's not recommended for production usage yet. Then jumping on to the KNIME Server. As I said, KNIME Server is a collaborative platform. If you want to integrate more and more data scientists under one roof, this is your product. So this is for the production implementation style. You could schedule workflows, you could monitor your jobs, you could create users, you could create admins, you can distribute the workflow execution to multiple nodes. All such things are done through KNIME Server. So in this release in KNIME Server, the important aspects of discussion are the redesigned web portal, enhanced monitoring and administration through GUI. All these terms are self-explanatory, but I'll be demonstrating this in a couple of minutes from now. One of the significant feature in this release is the KNIME has extended its support to provide high availability for the consumers. So how this works is if you have a distributed executor setup, you need RabbitMQ in the middle layer to distribute the jobs from server to executor. For the people who are unaware of what is server and executor, you could consider this KNIME Server is a centralized operational platform which allocates the work, and the executors are kind of worker nodes which accepts the job, performs the execution and gives back the result back to the KNIME Server. So in this case, if you have more than one worker nodes, RabbitMQ is the component that integrates all the stuff between server and the worker nodes. So let's say in a highly available environment, if you have a loss or if you have a breakage in RabbitMQ, your entire system stops working. So in this case, what KNIME does in this release is it has extended its support of server to connect to multiple RabbitMQ hosts. So in case of one RabbitMQ host and you have a cluster setup in your RabbitMQ, it connects to a second host in the RabbitMQ. And this is done even more easily without having a need to have load balancer or a HA proxy in front of your RabbitMQ host. So how this is done is it is done through a comma separated multiple hosts. So let's say I have a RabbitMQ host 1 and I have a host 2. I can give these parameters by a comma separated. So you can have any number of RabbitMQ hosts. And we advise you to have a RabbitMQ cluster setup so that your queue is also replicated. So let's jump into a short demo of the new features of KNIME web portal and the server. So this is how in a collaborative platform called KNIME web portal and /KNIME server looks like. So there are three main tabs: web portal, monitoring, and administration. The web portal has all your content like deployed workflows to server organized into multiple folders. Here there is no I mean, the improvement here is only on the look and feel of the web portal section. More interesting features comes in the monitoring and the administration. So if I click on monitoring, I have options to choose 4 different options. So let me go to jobs in this case. So the jobs page is completely revamped. You get more features of how your workflows are doing during the server side execution. So in this case, there are default columns given when you open the page, like what time it is created, who is the owner, what is the state, and what is the workflow name. But you could also increase or pick and choose the columns from selecting the select columns, where there are plenty of columns that are available for you to pick and choose again. And you could also sort by last month. You could filter for the duration, time duration, and also you could group by several aspects like owner and executions related to a single workflow or created on a specific date. All that is done and configurable through this jobs pane. And interesting, or a new feature in the web portal is the schedules tab, where if there are any pre-created schedules via KNIME Analytics platform, you could enable or disable the schedules according to your need from this page. So the if this responsibility is given to an admin guy, if he or she doesn't have a KNIME Analytics platform, they can simply come to this page and enable and disable the workflows. And also you could have a brief description about the executors pane here, how many executors you have and their performance, and the logs page. So in this, you can download all the KNIME related logs from the GUI site to provide to KNIME support in case if you run into issues. So you can select today, yesterday, and any custom date range. You can download the log files as a zip, and you can send them back to KNIME support for in case if you need help from them. Then moving on to administration page, most of the things are same like previous release, but a revamped page of users and groups. And more interesting feature here is the configuration tab. So for the KNIME server to run, there are a couple of server related parameters that you give in a flat file. All such parameters are now brought into this GUI section, where you can graphically modify any parameter here and ask your server admin to just give a restart if it is applicable. So if you have access to KNIME documentation, you could see earlier, you could see each parameter and the functionality of it. Now all the definitions and the parameters are brought in here. You just need to fill the applicable fields and just give it a restart if it is applicable. Some parameters require a restart, but some don't. So this also cuts off the requirement of giving access to KNIME admins for the server box. So now server side activities are completely taken care by the DevOps people, and KNIME data scientists can focus on their workflows development and the basic configuration of the server. So everything is decoupled and it is ready to use. So that's in short about the new features in the KNIME server and the web portal side. The next thing that we're going to talk about is the KNIME server large and executors availability on Azure. So this comes in 2 variants. One is pay as you go, and the other is the bring your own license. So you can choose according to your need which one to select, and straight away you can start with your KNIME journey from this. If you have a Azure cloud license or an AWS license, you could immediately start on your enterprise scale KNIME journey. So wrapping up what we have discussed so far, I would like to present in this slide the salient features in this release. So on the platform side, which is the open source, ready to use by anybody for their personal or any kind of work that doesn't require integration. So you could use KNIME Analytics platform free of cost and start using KNIME Hub as a handy option to check what is available there, explore, increase your knowledge in data science, and get started with your journey. So on the KNIME Analytics platform, we have in this release improved file handling framework, user experience is consistent, more integrations with Python, more you could do in the performance side. On the KNIME server, redesigned look, better monitoring capabilities, and support for high availability and its availability on Azure are the interesting features in this release. So with this, I would like to open the floor for Q&A. So Let me check if there are any questions. So it seems like all the questions have been already answered. So if anybody has any questions, you could post in this Q&A box. One question that came from Pushkar Mishra is, can we restart KNIME server using KNIME portal? So Divan says he would like to answer. Okay. But nevertheless, for the other audience, no, currently that option of restarting the KNIME server via web portal is not possible. The thing is, you could give the parameters at the moment. You could give the parameters and save the parameters, but there is no option to do a restart. It's great to have, but maybe KNIME decided not to put it because server restarts should happen with involvement of DevOps guys. So maybe that is the reason they have not included this option. So if no more questions, I would like Gianluca to conclude the session.
Fantastic. Thank you, Sudhir. Please feel free to run any further questions that you might have by simply providing to us your questions through our info@ClearPeaks mailbox, as you can see in here, and that will be addressed accordingly. So thank you so much for attending this CoolTalk on the new features of KNIME. And we look forward to meeting you on the next session of our CoolTalks calendar that, as I mentioned, you can find it in our website. Thanks a lot for your attending this session and looking forward to seeing you to the next.
Thank you, everyone.